Welcome to Burn the Ship. This is the podcast where we connect entrepreneurs or professionals that can help you go all in on your business. We talk to people that have walked the walk, talked the talk, been through all the things that you experience as a small business owner, and come on our platform willing to share those skills and experiences with us so that we can run our businesses better. So, thank you very much, Steve, for being here. I appreciate anybody that shares the time with myself, the time with the audience, are willing to let us kind of peek behind the curtain. It means a lot, and it brings a ton of value to myself and my network. So I appreciate the conversations we've had on the phone leading up to the podcast, and your willingness to record with me now. So thank you very much up front. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on here. I love sharing the story of what God's done with a former atheist like myself. So for 21 years, by the way, I'm Steve Cohen. I'm with Now Found. For 21 years, I was a hate-filled atheistic antichrist. 2002, I had a radical encounter with the God that I thought didn't exist. Came to fall in love with him. He met me in a church lobby. Said that, Steve, I love that you are now found, but I need you to never forget that you're once lost. And in that born this posture of you're never too lost to be found. What we do at Now Found, we're kind of a hybrid ministry slash for-profit company. We didn't want to go nonprofit just because of the complexities of that, being out of control, having to submit to somebody else the vision that God has given us. So we walk this tightrope of a for-profit and kind of a ministry combination there. So our main products, my wife and I, we're both public speakers. We're authors. Have one of my books actually back behind me. We've published 17 books between the two of us over the
Wow.
last 10 years, and we actually help authors. This is our primary mode of income. Really, is we actually help authors and speakers, people who have a story, craft their story. We coach them through that to help them refine it. And if it's to go to book, we help them get it to publication. If it's to help them get into speaking and whatnot, we help them actually refine down that message so that it's an engaging message, something that people are going to actually enjoy to listen to and to walk away with benefit from. Those are our primary functions.
So tell me this, right? Tell me, go a little deeper into your story, right? Because I know that we obviously talked on the phone kind of about the inspiration from the religious side of your business, but talk to me about the nuts and bolts. How does that radical encounter manifest itself as what you do now? And what is the overlap between your ministry and the way that you help people deliver their message, whether it be, you know, audibly or visually or, through published works?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as the hateful atheistic antichrist that I was, I used to rip people apart. I hated Christians. If people were not like me, they didn't have my viewpoint, they didn't understand where I was coming from, or so often they didn't understand where I was coming from. In that world, in that space, my purpose was to rip people apart, to tear them down. It was a very destructive, angry. I didn't know I was angry in that space, but I was. When I had this radical encounter with God, it was about a 4.5 year journey, really, to come to that precipice where I had that radical encounter. Um, I couldn't like that same, I guess that same passion. My wife always wonders how in the world I went from this hate-filled atheistic antichrist to this on fire, passionate man for God. Right? It was simply a pendulum swing. So I went from that same passion over here. I'm still that same passionate man over here. And when it came to Now Found, this heart posture started off as ministry work. And what we started realizing is that this message resonates with people. And as we started discussing it, we started leading smaller groups or gatherings or meetings and networking meetings, which is huge within the business world. We realized that people continually resonated with this message. It was something deep down inside, this guttural thing where people were attracted not to my story, but this story of hope, this story of reconciliation back to a God that I had been so lost from, that I hated so much. And just continually by telling these stories, it really helped us start figuring out that if you look at the Bible, it's full of stories. Like the purpose of scripture isn't to give us a list of things to do. It's a list of stories of how humanity has screwed up its relationship with God, and God always welcomes us back. And that resonates deep inside of us. So as we work with authors, so we actually started our publishing company with my wife's first book, which is Refining Identity. It's Courtney Cohen with Refining Identity. The subtitle is I Am Who I Am Says I Am. That's deep because that means that now we're also talking about identity, right? There's this core message of I am who God says that I am, who he dreamt of before the beginning of time, who he knit me to be in my mother's womb. That message resonates as well. And all of these stories, scripture, Jesus actually even talked about the stories. He talked about parables all the time. That's those stories are what bring transformation. If I just tell you, go do this, 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 and this, here's the formula to success. You may or may not implement those. But if I can tell you a story of how something was transformed and then help you along and say, here are those steps, now you have inspiration to go along with it. And that's really where we've started coming alongside of authors who have a story. Every one of us has a story. We like to actually call it our Flippin' Hell story. We have a podcast called Flippin' Hell Podcast where we talk about these stories, right? And we help people go from one place, transition or reorient themselves to God and end up in a different place. And you're doing that with your all the businesses that are coming onto this podcast, right? You're hoping that through these stories, through these relational podcasts, these episodes, that you can take a business owner from one place, move them to a different place. Hopefully that means that they're actually being more successful. That's what our heart is with authors, with storytellers, is to help them do that thing, to resonate with their audience, to find a message that somebody's actually going to listen to and want to even listen to again and again and again.
You know what I think is maybe unique is not the right. What is essential to what you're saying from a business perspective, I think is that you cannot undervalue passion in what it is that you do, right?
Yeah.
I talk to young salespeople all the time. I talk to people that are in my generation. I'm going to be 30 soon. And a bunch of us, I give people this comfort all the time of nobody really knows exactly what they want to sign up to do for 30 or 40 years whenever you're our age, right? Like don't feel that pressure, especially I'm from a small town, a population of like 10,000, less than that maybe.
Yeah.
And everybody knows everybody and everybody judges everybody for what they are or what they are not.
Yep.
And I talk to these people so much that are having this kind of identity crisis. Like my little brother's kind of in that place right now. My little brother is college graduate. He's got a great job. He makes a ton of money. He's got a girlfriend and has just a real identity crisis about, am I going to do, is this literally the road I've carved out for myself for 30 years, right? Like it's a
Yeah.
tough thing to swallow. And especially for young salespeople that feel unsuccessful, right? And what I think is so essential about that story of your business is that you had a passion for something, a real, true, deep down, burning passion for something that manifested itself into a skill because you were called to action by something that impulses you heavily, right? That developed itself
Absolutely.
into a skill that
Absolutely.
you felt again that same strong desire to replicate that in other people's lives because you saw what that did for you. That is the way that I feel about sales,
Yeah.
right? Is that I was in a crazy place in my life, literally lost, and then I found this sales thing that was, the cores of sales are accountability and actionable steps and relationships. You know what I mean? And it literally redefined for me how that I interact with the people in my everyday life, and those things manifested themselves into my business and some level of success for me, which was incredible, right? So I think that you can't escape or undervalue how important passion is in your business. No matter how good you are at one thing, if your passion begins to subside, that that grade of that incline, that hill that you're climbing becomes, the feeling becomes significantly steeper, right?
Really?
And I think that is what is so interesting about your story. And the first time that we talked on the phone is that all of these actionable steps that you've taken to turn this business into a reality are rooted in the fact that you are incredibly passionate about the message that you have to deliver to the world, right? And I literally think that you can't replace it and you can't find a substitute. There's no other thing that is going to organically inspire confidence and a need to wake up an hour earlier in the morning, like something that you were passionately on fire about. So
Yeah.
I wanted to let you know that it is evident to me, and it is evident to the people that you speak to, how much conviction you speak about, your testimony with is very, very important, and it makes people want to work with you. And I'm glad that I'm getting to have this conversation with you because specifically of those things. But along that tune, you kind of have to have this superpower, right, or this thing that you do that keeps things moving forward, right? You have to have that thing that you can fall back on, or that that problem solving method, or how can I approach this thing that's going to keep this ball rolling, because um, you have experienced challenges, right? You've experienced a bunch of different things. So
Yeah.
tell me that, like, what are the challenges that have popped up along the way that were just impossible to forecast that you've been able to overcome through this immense passion and love for people? And what is that superpower that is pushing you through all those things?
Yeah. So one of the biggest challenges that every single company is going to have is cash flow, right? I don't think of a simple, now if you're an employee for another company, you may not actually see that. However, your paycheck is dependent on it, right? If your company you're working for, or the company you're leading doesn't actually have cash flow, then you're done. They talk about that all the time. Is if you can't pay the bills, then credit cards can only go so far, loans can only go so far. So that's one of the biggest things. My faith that God is going to take care of it. Like, I know that that sounds cheesy, but He keeps on doing it. We have authors that come to us just randomly, right at the time where we've had it countless times over the last 13 years where we're like, I don't know if we can keep on going, and God drops an author right at our door. So there is a faith element, this passion, right? So I'd love to actually just say, well, this is the thing that Steve Cohen did, da, 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 and this is going to be exactly right for you. That enthusiasm thing that you're talking about, or that passion, I used to hate this acronym. I'm not a big fan of acronyms, but the
Me and you
enthusiasm,
both.
right? So the asm at the or the ism at the end of enthusiasm is, I am sold myself. So one of the things I heard, that I was in car sales. So going back on the thing about, we don't what you're doing right now may not be the thing that you're called to do, and may not be the thing you're doing 20 years from now. I was in car sales. Right after that, I was in furniture sales. Like, so sales, I've been a part of, but understanding that we have to be sold ourselves. We do have to have this passion. If we don't have a passion, or if we don't get up, and if it's like you said, it's pushing this rock uphill. If that's what your job is right now, I would actually say you either need to change your job or change your attitude. And that's one of the biggest, that superpower I think that maybe I have, is being able to look at the worst of circumstances and see hope and see positivity. That's this mindset here. I can look at somebody that's screaming F bombs in my face, and I can sit there and go, man, you're never too lost to be found. This job is never too far gone. Like, I'm here for a purpose. One of the statements that I learned a long time ago was, instead of God, get me out of this, God, what do you want me to get out of this? And sit in something, even though it may not be what I feel called to do, even though it may not be what I know I'm supposed to be doing. It's just the thing that's paying the bills right now. I was actually in technology for 13 years. I'm sorry, 17 years. And in that 17 years, I wasn't fulfilled with technology. But I will say that I was fulfilled that my wife got to stay home and take care of our children and homeschool our children from babies. Our oldest is actually graduating high school this year from homeschool, and my wife has been able to do that because I found that the benefit, or I found the positivity in that. I became enthusiastic about the position I was good at, that provided and allowed my family to actually be ministered to, my wife to stay home with the kids, them to be raised up and taught the way that we felt that we needed to. And part of that as well, one of the tools that we talked to our authors about, we met with a potential author yesterday. We believe that he'll be coming on shortly, was figuring out who our target is. Man, you're in sales. If you go around, technically everybody's actually in sales. If you're in business, you're in sales because you have to sell, you're selling something. You're selling yourself, you're selling a service, whatever it is, but you have to know your target. Like, and I sat with an author yesterday and I drew three circles on it. Is you have your primary target, right? That number one person that's going to be impacted by the service or message that you're providing. But there's a secondary target, and that's the people within arm's length of that one person that are going to be impacted by that as well, right? If you're in plumbing, your primary target is people that, man, they have a plumbing problem, right? That's most likely going to be homeowners or business owners or whatnot. But the people that depend on those people are within arm's length. So that's also another target. So when we're marketing, if we're only targeting, hey, if you have a plumbing problem, then everybody that doesn't have a plumbing problem blocks you out, right?
Right.
So you have to kind of speak to that primary and the secondary, but then you have that tertiary, or we like to actually call it the collateral damage zone. If you're thinking about like bombing and whatnot, is you have that primary target where the impact's going to be the greatest, your secondary where it's going to be secondary, but then that collateral is everybody else in the world needs to know about you, right? You needs to know how this message, your service, whatever it is going to benefit them when it comes time to benefit.
Right.
That's, you see broadcast advertising and marketing, you're like, oh, I don't have a problem with that. But 6 months from now, when something goes bad, I'm gonna go, oh, well, who is that guy that I met that has that plumbing thing? But so really knowing your target, but also knowing, again, that superpower, coming back to it, is, even the people that look like they may not be a benefit to me may actually benefit. I may be able to benefit them.
Right.
Does that make
No.
sense?
Oh
It,
yeah, absolutely.
it's again, I'm coming here. I'm to serve them. Whatever message I have to know who it's most important for. Whatever service I have to know that. But how can I also talk to, or not just talk to that primary person and pigeonhole me into one little small group of people, but start getting into those larger zones? And that's how that's how we help our authors tone their message or craft their message. That's how our speakers, we teach them to grab the people that even aren't our primary target. If your primary target is, 60-year-old Christian small groups or men and women, well, one day that 40-year-old is going to be a 60-year-old.
Right.
That 80-year-old may actually be able to help you minister to those 60-year-olds. So again, that collateral, those rings, knowing those, but also knowing your vision, knowing your message, and always having enthusiasm and that passion that you're talking about for what you're doing, and never losing sight of that. I think that would be that superpower I think that I have, is continually seeing the best, continually seeking God's will, seeking his vision for even the things that don't look like anything that maybe he's put on your heart.
Oh yeah. I mean, constant pressure is and significant effort is omnipotent. You know what I mean? It is the ability to stay engaged because of your level of passion about what it is that you're doing is impossible to replace. And then when you mix that with I understand the value that I'm bringing to people, and I understand how to explain to people how to bring value, that same value, to other people. Like, I not only am I doing a good thing, I'm teaching people how to pay it forward while feeding my family. Like that. That is the perfect storm of get things done. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that. It's a wonderful place to be in. So I on 2 points on exactly what you were talking about. One is, if you're listening to this podcast and you're that guy that's really good at that thing and you're not achieving your goals because you're in an industry where you're very technically sound and you don't feel that passion, you need to dive into what your customer feels, right?
Right.
Like, because I genuinely, until I was in this industry for like 5 years, I really didn't, I'd never thought about that. And the reason was I had never seen a business close to me close down. You know what I mean? Like, I had never seen someone have to sell their house or, post on Facebook that they were shutting down because they weren't busy enough. Well, 5 years into my industry, I had done that. I had signed people up in year one. I had lost clients. I had seen businesses shut down. I had seen that hardship. And I began to, especially when COVID hit, put myself in the shoes of my customers and go, oh, like, I understand the value that I'm bringing is not I can process your credit cards or I can do it for cheaper or whatever. It's that I have your back. You know what I mean? It's that I'll bring you into my network and that I'll do what I can, not to be pitching myself on my own podcast, but I just realized that the product that I delivered did not equal the value that I brought because of who I decided to be as a person in my everyday interactions with people in my business. And
Yeah.
I challenge you to do those same things in whatever industry that you are in. Put yourself in the perspective of your customers. Ask your customers how it felt for them to buy something from you. Ask them about the impact that it made on their life. Like, if you're a plumber and you're unclogging a toilet or replacing a toilet or you're fixing a main water line that's busted, like, yes, you think that people are upset or it's inconvenient or whatever. Like, go talk to them after they take their first shower that they haven't been able to take in 2 days, right? Like, go talk to them when they get one of their bathrooms back and 6 people in their house aren't sharing one bathroom. Like, there's value that you're bringing to people in your everyday life and the way that you render your product that you would never think about, that is super powerful to be able to put yourself in the position of your ideal customer and that secondary target and that tertiary target, because you can understand how all those people work together. You can understand the relationship between all those people, and it becomes very clear how you can deliver a message to those people that resonates with everyone, because that's what you are. You're solving problems, and maybe it's in exchange for money or whatever it is, but it doesn't matter. You're upgrading people's lives and giving them a peace of mind and some soundness in their everyday life that honestly they probably work hard enough to deserve, right? And
Yeah.
when you're talking about a constant positive mindset, it's difficult to maintain that. You know what I mean? Everybody's in a different place in their life, and not that that is a bad thing or a good thing. Maybe for you, you're the type of person that really lights a fire under you, but um, I would contest that a negative mindset is probably what closes down more businesses than anything else in the world, right?
Yeah.
A mindset of, scarcity, I guess is the best word to say, is that there's not enough stuff out there for me, and that I really have to explain all, and I have to go close a deal today, and I have to find all that there's not enough for me here. I need to be doing something else. I need to change my product offering. Like, whoa, right? Well, everybody's gone through it. Don't try. It's a very human thing. It's a human knee jerk reaction to jump to, but I would encourage you to talk to someone like Steve and let him tell you what he hears when you give him your message,
Yeah.
right? Because someone that thinks that way is going to give you a totally different reflection, and they're going to tell you what you just said, and you're not going to realize that that's what you just said, and you're going to say, oh, but I meant this, but that's not what you said. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to realize that they're probably in your message is something that is not synchronized or something that is not always working together. Like, I do it all the time. I'm the worst about it. I have a extraordinary technical acumen compared to the rest of my industry, and I need to say simple things sometimes, and sometimes I don't, and that's okay, right? So
Yeah.
the message that you're trying to portray to people is not always how they're receiving it, and if you're not giving it with conviction and passion, sometimes it can be misinterpreted or misheard, even though you are really, really good at what it is that you do. So that perspective on your strength and the value that you bring to your customers, I think, is a conversation that every single person that is listening to this podcast would benefit from having with themselves and with someone else that thinks that same way, right? No matter where you are in your business, no matter if it's uber success and you're rolling in money, or you're struggling, you don't even have your first client yet. Like, that conversation is the first block in the pyramid to figuring out exactly the value that you're going to bring to your clients. And if you don't have that conversation with yourself, you're going to make this, you're going to run the Daytona 500 and everybody else is running a 500 and you're driving 5,000 miles. You know what I mean? Like, that,
Yeah.
it's that hard. It's that much of a change to not have that conversation with yourself of, how to stay positive, how to deliver a clear message to people, and how to make sure that you're bringing value to people's lives, because I promise they'll tell you. I promise you that they will tell you with conviction exactly what they hear from your message. And I trust people to have that conversations with themselves, or to seek out someone that is an expert in that field. But I love what you do with your ministry. Um, I love that you approach people where they are, right? I love that um, you have an understanding that there is some hard work that goes into what you do on a day-to-day basis, and that you have your family in mind when you do all this stuff. So if there's anything that I can do in the meantime, connections that I can make for you in my network, anything like that, or same goes for the audience, please tell us what that is. How can we support you? How can we shorten this cycle for you, or make introductions for you that may be valuable?
Yeah, two of the other things that came to mind while you were talking about that is that coaching is one of the most fulfilling parts of what we actually do. Now, most of the time that's maybe authors or writers coaching, but business coaching, helping people craft that message. If you're in sales and your message, if you lose me after the first 15 seconds, you could have the best product in the world, but I'm not going to actually listen because you already lost me, right? If I feel too much pressure, and especially in a day and age where there are so many different versions of pretty much the exact same thing, right? I could go to 10 different credit card processing companies, but the person that listens to me or that engages me is going to be probably the most um, well received. So being able to be coached along that so that we can actually hear the words that we're saying is huge. I sat down myself, a coach. I sat down with a coach for 2.5 hours one day, and the number one question that he asked me, and it drove me bonkers, was why. I felt like I was there with like a 3 or 4 year old. Why? 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 And at the end of 2.5 to 3 hours, however long that time was, he sat there. He said, "So, Steve, let me summarize this." And because our message many years ago was really jumbled up. It was hard to understand what Now Found stood for. And he goes, let me clarify, just to make sure I understand what you're saying. After 2.5 hours, he goes, so Now Found is a catalyst to help people reorient themselves to God and to own their relationships with Him and the people around them. I said, yes, that's exactly it. That came from a coach.
Yeah, that would have took you 2 years to refine that, because you know too much.
Yes, I could
You
talk.
know way too much.
I could talk for 6 hours and I would get in the weeds and I would lose you, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, if I now actually tell you that the entire purpose, the sole mission of Now Found, uh, publishing, ministry, and apparel, that's what we are. And you go, man, how do those three things fit together? It's a beautiful mix. But publishing, ministry, and apparel, we are a catalyst to help people reorient themselves to God and to own their relationship with Him and the people around them. That's what we do. And how that transcends into publishing is that ownership. We first off is reorient yourself to God, make sure you're doing what He wants you to do, make sure you're walking in what He wants you to walk in, and that you're actually owning who He created you to be. But then now those relationships, not only with Him, but the people that He's placed you around, those business relationships, those other connections, own those relationships with intentionality, right? That's how that transcends. Why apparel? Obviously, the publishing and ministry was covered, but how in the world the apparel? Provide something that people can take with them. That was the one thing that we were missing. Yeah, we had our books, but you can't walk around. I can't grab that book on the shelf back there and start walking around going, here's my billboard, here's my billboard, read this 95,000 word book and summarize it. No, but I can actually give them a high quality bamboo, luxurious feel t shirt that actually carries the heart of our ministry, that you are never too lost to be found. This resonates with people. One of my best friends right now, I met him at a Costco because of this shirt. I was standing there getting my Pepsi or my Coke. And as I'm standing there, this random dude just walks up and he goes, man, I love the message of that shirt. Had I not gotten into apparel, had I not created this, there's no way I would have met him. Right. So giving people the opportunity to do that, our Abide shirt, where it literally says, or our Abide hats and shirts, it says sit, dwell, and remain in His presence. Like taking that message, these core tenant messages that God has given us, putting them on billboards that people then can actually go and be billboards as well. spreading the message. And it's not cheesy, just logos of your company, right? It's a message that resonates deep inside. And again, that's the heart behind our coaching, is to find that message that actually fits, that's going to carry whatever God has put inside of you and be able to go and share it with the other people. But then we have these other avenues to go, okay, wait a second. Am I giving my clients everything that they need to actually then carry with them whatever I'm providing for them? So there are things where, yeah, we Audible 3.5, 4 years ago. And we're like, how do we now actually allow other people to now convey the exact same message that God gave us? Now, it's not cheesy stuff, right? This message isn't just about, throwing my logo and brand out there, right? Our company is now found, but the thing that's on this shirt, never too lost to be found. We have abide. We actually have a shirt that says I am. I've got a beanie that actually on the back side of it, it says, I am who I am says I am, that message that God gave my wife. And we give the opportunity for people to now actually take that vision, take that, the heart of whatever service or message that you have with them, to then spread love, hope, and reconciliation throughout their entire sphere of people. So getting outside of that really stuck mindset of, no, it's my way, this is the way I have to do it. Taking time, go get a personal coach, whether it's us through Now Found, or if it's anybody in your local area. Get a coach, find out what you're actually, what you're saying, what it sounds like to other people. Find different ways maybe to convey your message, and also find different ways that people can carry that message with them, right? Unclogging toilets, hard to actually convey that message on a t-shirt, right? Um, but I do have to actually say, one of the design features of our t-shirts is we created them to be a little bit longer. They have rounded fronts, rounded backs. We made them to be a little bit more conservative, more of a modest fit. But we also actually put it out there that they're 2A concealed for our Second Amendment supporters. Leggings ideal for the ladies that wear leggings and they don't like and they prefer modesty. And then to throw a little bit of a punchline to it, it actually says plumber sealed, since we're on this whole plumber kick, right? For all those guys with the crack problem, the tails on our shirts are a little bit extended, they're a little bit rounded, and it saves the world from having to deal with your crack problem, right? So having that, it's just fun. Finding a different way to look and approach what you're doing, right, is going to set you apart from everybody else. If I get 10 credit card processors in front of me, the one that doesn't tell me I'm going to save you money on your processing fees, right? I have this wonderful machine that's going to actually do this wonderful thing that's going to accept credit cards so that you can take payments from your clients. Okay, let's refine that message and tell me why you're different.
Right.
And I don't care whether I might actually pay more to do business with you because I resonate with the message. I may resonate with your family. I may actually sit there and just love the fact that maybe you're a foster and adopted family or something along that. Who knows what it is, but bring yourself into the message that you're bringing, no matter what industry you're sitting in.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I can completely agree. I mean, I think, um, and it goes back to what you were saying with the enthusiasm acronym, right? Like
Yeah.
I am sold myself. Um, it's the same thing, right? Like to really understand your product and make it simple is the art. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Not to watch a 4 hour documentary about your industry and be able to regurgitate it all to your clients. I mean, you have to be able to make it simple, and you have to be able to build rapport and relatability with people. Like the thing like about my company that we talk about more than anything, the hook that started is always, can you save money, right? And
Yeah.
I promise you, the thing that makes people make decisions more often than savings is the fact that my customer service is in my office,
Yep.
right? Like that is so rare for my industry.
Yep.
That is like 0.1% of my industry does that, because huge processors have these 700 person call centers that'll flip the FAQ book open and they'll get your stuff fixed.
Yeah.
You don't want to call the 1-800 number. You want to call Bailey. Like, I've gotten calls Sunday night, you know what I mean? And answered people's phone calls and figured stuff out. Like, hey, we are like you. We are a small business. We go to work. I go to my kids' Christmas plays and their Valentine's lunched with loved ones and everything else. You know what I mean? Like, I am like you. And that is why I want to do my job very well. Like that. That did not dawn on me literally until maybe 4 years into my industry.
Yeah.
Like that I didn't realize that, oh, my savings number wasn't high enough is the reason that I got that deal. It was, no, you're focused on the wrong thing. People don't care about savings. Like, hey, dang, these people just told me no, and I could have saved them $6,000 a year on credit card processing, right?
Yep.
And I told my boss that one time. This was maybe in like 2018 or 2019. He was like, "Well, how much do they do?" And I was like, "I don't know, a lot, you know." And he was like, "It's like, you know, $4 million a year, you know what I mean, in credit card processing.
Yeah.
You know, 400, almost $400,000 a month in credit card processing." He was like, "Then why do they care about why do they care about $6,000?"
Nope.
It's like, dude, $6,000 in comparison to 4 million. He was like, "Why did you even talk about money?" He was like, "What? They don't care about that." He was like, "They want to call somebody and know that they want to check a box that says this is our payments guy and he's going to take care of them."
Yep.
Right. And then he was like, "Let me talk to him."
Yeah.
First deal that I ever went with the owner of my company and my sales manager, and we never talked about price.
Yeah.
One time, right? Like, when we ended up saving them money, the original money that I quoted them, but like, that wasn't the kicker. You know what I mean? It was the relationship that we were able to build. But back to my original question, how can we support you? You have an organization very focused on supporting other people, and how can we return that to you?
Man. So nowfound.org is our website. Um, Carry our message, and our apparel. That's one of the easiest, best ways that you can actually do it. Is to carry this message. This shirt alone, I will say, it's the most comfortable shirt. I finally had one fail. The other thing about quality products, I finally had one of my shirts where the lettering came off. It came after 100 washes. I wear these
Wow.
shirts. This is the only shirt that I actually wear. 5 days a week at least that I'm wearing these things, and I got 5 of them. So I'm washing these things, and 2.5 years it took for this thing on a weekly wear for the lettering to finally actually come off of these, right? But this shirt, a high quality shirt, comfortable as all get out, bamboo, love it. I can't speak enough about the fabric itself, but you're going to be comfortable carrying the heart message of love, compassion, and reconciliation. Like, that's the most important part. And walking around and loving on people, taking this mindset, praying over people, going, God, what do you want to tell your son or daughter, my brother or sister? Do that. And that's the most life-changing thing for us, to support us to do that, is take this message, or our Abide products, where you're literally taking time to sit and dwell and remain in his presence. These are simply reminders of your heart posture. And you coming alongside of us, purchasing apparel. If you need coaching, give us a call. Go to nowfound.org under the initiatives tab, or you can actually just scroll to the bottom and fill out the form and say, hey, I saw you on the podcast. I'd love to actually get some coaching. We do that. First initial call is usually about 15 to 30 minutes, just to figure out if we're even a good fit. Because there are some people that we're not a good fit for. We're unapologetic in that. We know that there are going to be people that we don't get along with, or they don't get along with us. But give us a call. We'll set up a time to actually do some coaching. If you have a message or a book that's on your heart, man, that is especially my wife thrives in writers coaching. That's really where her heart is. She's published 14, 15 books herself, and worked with countless other authors to get their products, their messages out to the public. So that's how we do it. That's the best way to actually help us, is nowfound.org. It's not newfound. So as in once lost, nowfound.org. Yeah, just visit there, hit us up, contact us, buy some of the apparel. I don't like to call it merch, because it's not, we custom make this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just some like Lululemon with our logo on it. We manufacture these shirts, the hats, everything very specific. So, but support us that way. We'd love it. We truly appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll put the links to that stuff in the description as well.
Yeah.
Just in case you're looking for quick access to those links, you may be able to click it in the video right here. But um, I appreciate your message. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
And it does mean a lot to me. And I I almost look for the auxiliary benefit of having these conversations with someone like yourself when I have them, right? Is, what kind of fire can this light for myself, and what kind of work can I go do today, and who can I go tell that I love them and that they're important to me. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of core human things that are in line with what you do on a day to day basis that I think are just incredible, right? And they're experiences that I think everyone should have, and relationships that I think everyone should invest in. So I appreciate what you do and the value and focus that you bring to doing it for people. And if there's anything that we can do for you on the way, um, new things that come out, anything like that, please let me know. We're more than happy to share it with our audience. And you guys that are listening, please go buy some apparel. Follow the socials, check out the website, listen to the message, check out the books if that's something that you're interested in. Whatever that is, these people, Steve and company, should be in your network, right? They're up to something, and I'm telling you that very, very early on, because the passion and conviction and momentum that they move forward with is very, very unique, and I promise that is true. So, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you again for coming on the podcast. It means a ton to me, and I really do get something out of every single time that we talk, and I hope that you guys did too in the audience. So, until next time, please burn the ship.